Today on Decoding the Flow, I'm joined by Lazala, a multidisciplinary, self-taught Dominican artist based in Florida and the founder of DML Paintings. Before stepping fully into her art career, Danielle studied and worked in the field of psychology, and that background deeply informed the way that she uses color, composition, and visual storytelling to intentionally shape how people feel in a space. She's best known for her vibrant palettes, bold shapes, playful patterns, and large-scale murals that uplift communities and transform environments. Danielle, I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome to Decoding the Flow.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm a fan of your art as well. So I love connecting with other artists, especially when they're across nation, completely opposite sides of the nation. So this is a great opportunity and I'm excited to talk more.
I know it's so incredible. You're from Republic Dominican and you live in Florida. I'm from Brazil and I'm in California. I love the internet.
That is the one good thing about the internet. You get to connect.
Yes. So if you are watching this or listening to this podcast from another place in the world, please leave a comment and say hello to where you're listening from or watching it from. All right, Danielle, we have so much to talk about it. I'm so glad that we connect via Instagram. I love the way that you play around with shapes and forms, but let's talk about it. Your background in psychology. How was that transition when you were studying psychology and you say, nah, I want to do art? Let us know, like, how was this shift for you?
So I studied psychology in my college career or college years. Started in Miami, did my associates there, and then I moved to Orlando, did my bachelor's here in clinical psychology. So then I got the opportunity to work at a behavioral center here in Orlando. Did that for about 5 years and loved it. Loved my patients. Loved getting to meet new people and also like help shape their mindset into okay, it can get better. I'm not alone. There's people going through the same thing. I'm not alone. Right. So through that whole time of my life, I always had art to fall back on as my own therapy in a way to kind of like have an outlet from working in such a heavy content career, right? Because you're dealing with other people's mental health, which obviously you want to be there for and really understand it from your point of view. So art was always there for me when I needed to just kind of like get home from a long shift and just kind of disconnect from everything. I have had my business since 2017. It wasn't always murals. It first started as canvas work, then shifted to little extra like stationery items. So notebooks, coloring books, stickers, stuff like that that other people can also have access to. And then moved on to murals. So I've had a different kind of mediums and I feel like it's just also kept me motivated to try new things. So I feel like art itself is a good outlet mentally because you can just do whatever you're feeling, whatever you're thinking, and it's your way to express how you feel.
It's like a safe space to
Mhm.
express yourself. If you do it without really worrying about the outcome, if your focus is really like self-expressing
Mhm.
yourself.
Yeah, so I feel like with my personal work, I started off doing custom murals, right? Or custom canvas work, sorry. And I liked it for a while I was trying to figure out myself on like what I wanted to make my style. It was really fun until it became very restrictive or it felt restrictive because I was doing obviously like whatever the person wanted. I didn't really have much creative freedom. And then that's when my artistic style came in around 2021. I want to say I found love for shapes, colors, which just felt more like me. So then I figured, how can I make this style that's me, but also compatible with what a client would like? Working at the hospital, surrounded by white walls all day, every day,
Oh yeah.
just felt very like claustrophobic in a way. So I figured if I feel this way, which I'm an employee here, I can imagine patients who are inpatient and staying here for X amount of days, right? Which is when I felt like, okay, maybe I can use my sort of outlet and colors and vibrancy and make them large scale, which then would be murals. And so if someone is feeling like they are uplifting view, I feel like vibrant colors will do that for you. So I think that's the importance with mural work and community work as well.
Yeah, I love how you say that it was based on your own experience work inside the hostel walls that you then decided to do large scale. So, and then let's go back to when you were trying to find your voice or when you was like funneling down the way that you wanted to express yourself through shapes and forms. How that psychology play a role into that flow of self-discovery.
Be emotions for sure, color psychology in a way as well, because, certain colors express certain emotions or,
Mm.
thoughts. So I figured being around white all the time, colors would be my outlet. Um, and that's the way I've connected psychology to my art, just kind of feeling of a like a free state of loose shapes and nothing that takes me so much time, so much like thought process as a realistic route would be for me personally, because I can't sit still for that long. So I need to something that can like get it done, flow, move on to the next thing, but also appreciate the process, which can be messy. And I feel like that's what I like, because it's just like you have room, you have this sense of like perfection in the real world, right? So with art, you have that freedom to mess up and like make something out of that mess up. So I feel like that's a good outlet to have practice, even if you're not an artist, a professional artist, even if you want to just let it go, just do random doodles, mess up, messy art, and you'll feel better, I think.
Yeah, it's so true. And like from the canvas work to stationery and moving into murals, for the way that you were saying, it seems like just a natural process for you. And once you start doing it, the large scale installations, what were like the kind of people that were looking for your specific type of work that is so happy and so uplifting? It was actually those people from the hostel. What were the type of people that you were attracting at the
So
beginning?
my audience slash clientele is, I want to say, have a maximalist mindset, whereas they're not scared of color. Of course, I've had clients who are more in the muted side of color palettes, and that's okay. But my main clientele, I would say, would be I've had hospitals, kids units, because kids need that stimulation. Cafeteria, so more of like common areas where it's supposed to be a uplifting environment, right? Not like a time to like disconnect from what's going on inside the units. I've also had the pleasure to doing kids playrooms, kids haircut places. So I think I want to aim more towards mental health or hospitals in general because of my personal experience with them. But I also want to do aim for schools or just surroundings that need the vibrancy and bold color as well. I know, understand that some people, like I said, want the muted, calmer palettes, which is totally fine. You can also go the route with like med spas or yoga studios, which need more of a calming palette, which is also fine. So I'm kind of all over the place with my clients because I will do whatever you need me to do. Happy, colorful, vibrant, the creative spaces are my top.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And like, let's say somebody here, we are mostly artists or creatives who listen to this podcast. What would be like the number one tip if someone would love to get involved in more mural work? What were the type of knowledges and skills that you have to nurture yourself to gain all of these beautiful clients and to have work keep coming your way?
Well, first it will be practice, practice, practice. Build a some sort of portfolio so you can have to show, present. This doesn't have to be with 1,000 clients already. This could be from your own house, from your friend's house. Just like large scale canvas as well can work. Just to kind of practice on a larger than whatever your average 16 by 20, say. So have that sort of background portfolio ready. You can work with your own style as well if you want to attract people who you want, like who connect with you. right? So there's a clientele for everybody out there. Everybody's style has a clientele. It's just a matter of landing the right person or the right set of eyes. Practice with the paints, this with the brushes. If you are into spray paint, that's also a plus. So it's most just practice, build your own portfolio, search up lots of how-to videos because I've learned so much through YouTube and just self-tutorials. So it's possible. You can go from the smallest canvas to the largest wall.
Yeah, I had a few experience with murals, and it's so fun. But it's also take a lot of your body, and I
Mhm.
don't think enough muralists talks about this because it's a different type of work from your studio easel or even like a large scale paintings to a mural and
Mhm.
standing on the ladder for
Yes.
hours sometimes. So let's talk about this because I don't think we talk enough. It takes a lot of in your body and your mental. So, would you like to share some tips on how you even prepare your body to keep doing that work? Because I did a mural and then I was like, I don't know how people do this like all day, like one after the other.
So
That's because
I
I
use
work out, like it feel like I'm like healthy. And then when I do murals, like I exhausted towards the end of the day. I was like, wow.
So when I first shifted to murals, I did get a little bit more active because I was like, I gotta train my body some way, not just like leave it up to my body to figure out the day of murals. So I did incorporate a lot of activity on my own time, physical activity, and nothing bodybuilding level, just your basics, body movements and stuff like that. Stretching is also super important because I have a background working at the hospital, which you're on your feet all day up and down. And I was also my first jobs were serving. So I've just always been on my feet as is. So when I first started doing murals, I would just try to get in there, try to finish it like soon as possible. So I would even do like 12 hours a day. This was like, me beginning, wanting to get things done on a timely manner and excited to see the outcome so fast. So fast forward 2 to 3 years later, now I have myself some boundaries. I'm like, okay, we're going to work for 8 hours a day, which is your normal general shift. Mind you, you're not sitting on a desk. So 8 hours is quite a lot, I would think. So I've learned to break down the process into like day one, prep the wall, sketch, get some paint on there. Day two, heavy day, get most paint that you can. Day three, touch ups, clean up, media. So your final pictures and all of that stuff. So it's more so of having boundaries within yourself to like make sure that you're taking care of yourself first and then the wall because
Yeah.
otherwise your shoulders will feel it, your knees will feel it, your my wrist. I have arthritis cream on deck ready to go. So it's very high hands-on physical activity.
Such a gold tip. Thank you so much for sharing. Like from my experience when I did this, it was like the largest mural. And I think I was so excited to finish that I will put myself into that ladder and I was like, I'll do as much as I can. And then no wonder I was excited. I love that you're saying that to have certain days and to kind of know what to expect
Mhm.
and split the tasks.
Have
And
some sort
that's
of
it.
schedule,
Yeah.
yes. And also be okay with the fact, like, yes, we want to do everything on our own. So we can be like, I did that. But also be okay with knowing that you don't have to do it alone. When I first started, I was doing everything by myself. So material gather, sketching, painting. Now I have the flexibility to add on onto my team, which
Mm,
for the most part is friends and family because it's just a good time to also spend time together. My mom she's also an artist, so she has familiar backgrounds with murals and stuff. So that's one thing that we like to do together. So she'll come onto the project with me and help me out too. So that also lessens the heaviness of a project in one person. So if you have a buddy who wants to learn or already has some experience, don't be scared or don't feel embarrassed to have them on the team with you because it takes a village sometimes. Depending on wall size, it takes a village.
yeah, I agree. And when somebody in my community here, like, are painting a mural, I would just offer to help because I also wanted to learn. And it kinda goes back to you, and I remember when I was painting a mural and somebody drove by and just offer a help. It's like, "Hey, I'm on vacation, my
Yeah.
wife wants me to do something, and I'm an artist. Can I help you?"
Yes,
So
that's what I'm saying. There will always be someone willing to help, willing to, or like interested in learning such a skill, or just amazed by the fact that you can be out here in whatever degree, whether outside, painting a wall. So, and being part of that already gives us a sense of community itself. Even if it's a, like you said, someone on vacation, it's something that they'll go back home and be like, oh, and while I was down the beach, like I got to paint a mural with hers. I feel like overall is a very positive activity to have going on.
yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's talk about because we're both immigrant artists building creative lives here in the United States. How has that experience shaped your resilience, your voice, and the way that you see opportunity and belonging in the art world?
It has been quite the roller coaster. I moved to Florida when I was very young. I was 10-year-old, so having my childhood in Dominican Republic and then having my teenage years, adulthood in Florida was very different because it gave me a sense of like, okay, I know I'm from here, but I'm also from here. So where exactly do I belong? So it was a lot of back and forth with that belongingness battle. Obviously, living in America or the USA, trying to keep my culture, my roots alive, especially in a time like today, where it's very important to like be like remind yourself where you're from, where you came from, where things started. So it has been a shift, but obviously we overcome it. My culture is very vibrant, very artsy, very folk art, and very into the culture itself. So growing up over there, you have either the people who are on the complete side of art or complete side of corporate. I don't feel like there's an in between. I grew up on the art side. Both of my parents are artists, so I kind of grew up in that sense. But I feel like using that knowledge of different backgrounds, different cultures is also an advantage because if I have, for example, one of my clients is more of like Latin roots, then we can connect on that level versus like if it's someone who's from here and I have that also background from living here and the experience, I can also shift to that. So I feel kind of like a chameleon in a way where I'm like, wherever it needs me, like I'll be there for that side of me. So it's been an interesting way to see things, very like a different perspective, but also very very full of experience and knowledge and learning. So I think it's been a good one.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. It's almost like I love that you mentioned something about where do I belong, right? Especially when we first moved here, we feel like we don't belong anywhere. But then deep down with our lived experience is like, I belong here too, right? So we
Because,
stand it instead
yes.
of
So I've
splitting.
had a lot of people tell me, oh, like I tell them, oh yeah, I moved here when I was 10. And they were like, oh, so you're not really like Dominican anymore. You're more American now. And I'm like, but that's what I know to be home. So I try to go every year. My family's back there. So I try to go recharge on my culture and just like, you but I'm like, it's possible to be both. You will find your people in both, or however many parts you want to split yourself into, but you will find your people. And it's totally normal to feel like you're not from there, but you're not from here, but you are, but you're not. So it comes down to how you want to shape it. So if you want to feel more from that place, then just make sure you keep that place alive wherever you are. Bring
Yeah,
home with you.
this is so true. It's all about the way that you think. You can think you don't belong anywhere, but you can also choose to think that you belong
Hmm.
in both places. I love it that you shared that. So do you think if you were living there or if you would move there, you would keep pursuing art?
Yes, 100%. Because, like I said, there is a place for artists or like a very big community in the arts. Not just arts as in like painting, drawing, but also like music and poetry and like all kinds of art. So there's a really big community, very supportive community as well. So I would 100% try to pursue that over there as well because at my adult years, I feel like that's really what I would only know how to do over there. But we adjust and we bloom wherever we're planted.
And you're saying that your parents are both artists. How was growing up with a family of artists?
So my mom is an artist, as in painting, drawing. She was in marketing back then, so she was in charge of all the signage and all the fun stuff. My dad is an artist as in a musician. So also very open-minded, always said, follow what your heart wants, not what you think you should be doing. So follow what you love, right? So I grew up with that mentality of like, okay, follow your dreams. Worst case scenario, all fails. There will always be some sort of back plan, you know? So that was a very helpful growing up, especially when I made the leap to turn from psych to my full time art because, artists are often told that's not a real job and like yada, yada, yada. But then you have other people proving to you, or the artists, and you look up to that it is possible, it is a job. You just kind of have to put your time into it, believe in yourself, have a village behind you who's like, you can do it, keep painting. It's like I said, always support is one of the most important things too, I think.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you touched something like so dear to my heart because I was the opposite. I had art since I was like a very young child, but I had no background, like no information that I could actually pursue art. So I have to go to the other route and do journalism and do for so many years. And just after later in life, like in my mid 30s, that I was like, okay, I'm going to do art. And I still had people that didn't believe like that support system. And everybody was like, are you crazy? I don't think you're going to be able to make a living. So I still fighting into that thought that I have to like everybody that saying no. And
Mhm.
it's almost like I'm going to prove you wrong. But it is also a wrong way of thinking. You don't need
Mhm.
to prove anything to
Mhm.
anybody. Um, I am so glad that is still hope in the families and people growing up with that belief that yeah, follow your true calling, right? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens, you're gonna have that support. So this is
Yeah. Like I said, like you're saying, even if you don't have that personal support behind you, so, your friends and family, there will be other communities who will support that, whether it's, through your clientele or just other artists in the community who are also pursuing the same dream and also understand the same struggles. They will be there and be like, okay, you got a no today, but that one door closed, that means the next one will open. So you
yeah.
kind of have to keep that mentality. And if you need to paint a big old canvas saying you can do it and wake up every day, then that's what you got to do.
Yeah. I love that you're saying that because the community that you surround yourself, it is so important, even if you don't have your family or your partner or anyone that may be doubtful, not in your abilities
Mhm.
per se, but in pursuing art itself, you can always find another community that will support you. And that's probably what happened to me when I start selling my first artwork and then people kept buying and buying not just one, but a few. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. So that was the momentum that I took to, not that I didn't believe in myself, but it was almost like, yes, I can do this, like a confirmation that I needed it to just keep going. It's so fun.
I would love to see you turn more because your canvas work is so beautiful and it has such a good composition that to be murals because they're just so like fun and vibrant and like free flows. And I feel like you would do very great with more murals in your
Your murals. Yeah.
behind your
I know I really need to focus more or getting more murals. I did apply for a few last year and it wasn't very successful, but you just have to keep trying.
Mhm.
And I did a few, probably I think I done it like 5 or 7 murals or something like that. But maybe I'll start with the wall in my room to kind
Yeah,
of
I'm
get
telling you,
back
half
into
of
it.
you see my stuff. Half of my content these days is just my apartment getting getting a main cover every 3 months because I'm just like, we need something new.
Yeah, it also keeps your brain moving too. Like the
Yeah.
more you do it, the more you want to do it, the more you want to create it. I love it. So you stop completely doing canvas. It's all you focus
No, I
or
have Canvas. I actually this year want to get back into them just because I'm like, that's where you started. Don't let it go. Muraling just takes so much more time outside of the house, all right, or outside of the studio. So I do want to have more Canvas where that's just like on a personal activity to just kind of like get back to where I started, or offer obviously for the public to have as well. But I try to do little self-care activities here and there. And Canvas is on my list because, like I said, it's where I started. Um, there's so much you can do with it. You don't need to have, 10 big old canvas size. You could do really small ones and just for fun, just to like disconnect from screen time. So it's definitely on my to-do list.
Okay, let's do it. You do more canvas, I'll do
Well,
more
actually,
murals.
I was gonna say because I know you're doing like the 100 and something
Yeah.
days, right? Yes. So I thought of you because I've been doing 30 days of like doodles, 30 days of scraps, and I wanted to do 30 days of canvas just to like
Okay.
get in there. So you're gonna have to hold me accountable. Just check
Okay.
in every every
We'll
3 weeks.
check on each other. You see, this is about community. Well, my recommendation or my tip for you, you can get a small canvas. It's going to be a completely different way of your work. So it's going to expand the way you do it too, because go from large scale to miniature. It's almost
Mhm.
like you're using a different
Yes, and I'm like, well, how does the brush even fit in here?
So I've been doing 4x4, no, sorry, 6x6 all mini canvas.
Hmm.
And when I did the 60 days towards the holidays, it was more of like sales approach. Now the 100, it's more of an art practice approach. So there are different ways that I've been doing. To be honest, I've been a little lost with 100 because from going to that end of like, yeah, I'm gonna do one canvas a day to sell, ready to sell, to like I'm going to practice. It's almost like I don't know what I'm.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's where the freedom comes in because you can still keep doing your own style, just play around with more colors and like different hues and more dark colors and more vibrant colors and or mix both together. So that's a good thing with a personal project because there is room to mess up and learn versus like when you're so self-focused, you're like, okay, this has to be perfect, this has to make sense,
Yeah,
and there has to be a purpose. So a balance of both is a good balance, I think.
yeah. Into like again, I've been having a really hard time because I was like, I'm going to approach each mini from that 100 days, not focusing on finding my usual outcome that I know how to be a perfect canvas for my taste. I want to do it different way. So I've been trying to use my same colors, but maybe with like different movements or more paints or like different subjects that I wouldn't normally do it. So I know I'm going to get somewhere because I'll have 100 days. I'm still towards the beginning. So, but this week it was a really tough week to show it up, but I just keep doing it. And sometimes it's just a blur and it just makes you feel good because you just
Yes.
showed up and that should be enough. So
Yes, because that's when you have to battle the creative block, which can come like to me comes in seasons. So for me, I already know December, January, even November sometimes are my toughest months creatively because I think it's just like towards the end of the year and you've like done so much already. And so everybody's like, okay, holiday break. And so your mentality gets like, okay, so I should rest too. But then it's like you almost feel guilty if you rest, even if it's holiday season. So you keep going. So my funk comes around the holiday season as well. So February comes and I'm like, all right, it's time to get back on track.
wow, that's so interesting.
Every year, it never fails. So I learned to do try to book those months for myself as in like go crazy with projects for yourself like so apartment remodels or whatever or like 30-day doodle challenges. That's just to keep me still creative but not so business focused where I'm like super burnt out and also like spend time with friends and family during the holiday season, not overbook things and just have time for you.
Yeah, this is so important. I'm so glad that you're sharing that. I am the same way. And the only reason I decided to do the 100 is to step out because I would find myself going to the studio only to do commission work or only to do like a new series. So I was like, what about me? What about my experimentation?
The creative process,
Yeah.
yes.
What about my creative process? How am I going to expand on this?
Well, so what we need to do is give each other a number and we're like, okay, we're gonna do five and then we'll swap them. I'll send you my fives and then you
Okay.
send
I love that.
Accountability.
Yes, so important. Danielle, do you have anything that you'd love to share about your future projects? Anything excited that you feel called to share with us?
I'm currently working on two mural projects. For one local here to Orlando, one of our districts is getting a mural at their water lift station. And then I do have another one out in Tampa, Florida, which is a it's okay. It's a how do I explain it? It's a sad theme, but also very sweet. So it's for a pet cremation memorial service location organization. So it's kind of like, oh, it's so sad because it's a memorial place. But also they're trying to uplift the area with the mural where it's kind of like inviting and supportive for their clients, customers. We have that going. And I just want to focus more this year on more schools, more purposeful sites for murals. So like that will impact community more. So like schools, hospitals, public art where people are like having a bad day and then you see a super bright mural saying like you can do this. So that is my focus for this year, as well as balancing my own creating time for my personal, whether that's like making little crafts here and there and then use that as gifts for friends and family throughout the year, just because gifts or like special occasions. So that is what's going on these days. Just kind of have a balance, but also stay above
That's beautiful. I love your approach of meaningful works.
purposeful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. How do you approach those sites? Sorry, or they will approach you? How does that work?
A lot of it, a lot of it has been through Instagram because I feel like I call it my digital portfolio. That's why I just keep on every day. Whatever it is, I will post. So because my muraling started really taking off through Instagram, a lot of my clients would find me through there. Or nowadays, because I have a couple more clients, it's been word of mouth, whether that's for murals or for like some digital design or branding or any sort of like interactive activity for their events. I am leaning more towards also me getting out of my comfort zone and me reaching out to people because I have a fear of rejection, like being told no. So I feel like you must practice that in order to like, could just you. I don't want to depend too much on social media because one day we can wake up tomorrow and it's gone. So I wanted this year be more sort of like boots on the ground, old fashioned, door to door, sharing flyers, sharing or like calls. So that is my goal for this year. I do recommend if you have an Instagram already like built, or not even just Instagram, but like a social media platform already built and has examples of your work, that's also a great way to like right away like send them a DM, be like, hey, we would love to create this for you. That way they're already there. They see your work right away. And if that's their style, then they will continue. If not, they won't waste your time. So I think just networking really would be a good way to start.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. It's really important. I have a question because sometimes when I see it, different muralists and they are against the artist designing the work and send it without a proper payment or down payment. I would love to hear your thoughts on that because sometimes you will have to apply for a call and they will ask you to do the design for you. How do you approach that? Do you have any thoughts?
So I have 50-50 thoughts because to be honest, sometimes I'm like, I know the thumb rule is no art before deposit, right? Because
Mm.
your time matters, your work matters, all of that. I understand that 100%. However, sometimes for me personally, it's hard for me to stick to that strictly because I understand that because I'm a visual person myself. I understand other people might want to see what they might be even getting into before putting down such a payment. I'm a little bit flexible on that. You can always do the work. I mean, not that I'm recommending to do work before payments, but if you feel like the connection is there and the client is leaning more towards like, okay, so we're gonna go, and you can always, if you already have some sort of design from before that you've made and you want to use that as a visual example, you can be like, this is not necessarily what our final design would be, but just so you have a very visual idea of what it would look like. That way it saves you a little bit of time and you don't have to like super deep into designing it. I do have this thing with the proposals where sometimes they also ask you for like a full design ready to go. For those, I don't really engage with because, like I said, there's so many artists out there that I can only imagine how many applications they would get. And so for me to like sit there and create a specific site, site specific design that has a already an idea that they want, and for me to sit there for hours creating it, then for my application to get brushed to the side and not even like consider for a next project, for example. Like, so it's a very tough boundary to set because you never know. Like a design that you submitted for one call that didn't get picked, you could reuse that design for your next client who like wants to see more of what you can do. Also having, because sometimes I just have free time, I'll just make random designs that I would like to see on a mural myself and have that kind of like ready to go mock-up file folder ready to show. Because I'm like, okay, well, if I have nothing to do Saturday night, then I'll just make some art and have it there ready to go. So, but I don't know. At the end of the day, it's whatever each person feels comfortable with, whatever they feel like is worth their time and work. So I think that's kind of like a to each their own opinion type of thing. What do you think?
Yeah.
Do you?
I totally agree with that. And based on my own experience, it's almost like you have that feeling, just like you mentioned, you have that feeling if the client are going towards you or if this work will really be meaningful for you. Because sometimes all you have to do, you're going to gain experience. And even if you don't get the job, you have that example that you can reuse it in future projects, maybe.
Yeah. And
It's,
I think even through submissions, for example, like you might not get picked on, at least your name is already somewhere in there where like, oh, I remember this girl proposed this idea and like it wasn't fit for that project, but maybe for this other project. So like let's reach out, so like at least your name is somewhere floating and you never know. It only takes one good client to find you and then you can take off that way. So to me, everything's an opportunity, even when told no. That's how I see it.
yeah. And also find that intuition within you. Is that work it's going to be excited for you? Because if you're like pushing yourself like, "Oh, I gotta do
Yeah.
this," then don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I've had projects like that, and I call those like rent projects just because it's like, okay, it's not your most favorite exciting project, but it will help towards rent, right, for that month. So sometimes we do have to, or I have to engage into projects that I'm not like the most super excited about, or like that have projects that nobody on the internet has seen because I'm just like, I'm gonna get it done for you, but it's not, I'm not gonna be sharing the process of that one. So as an artist who, when you're trying to make it out as a full time, you're gonna have to say yes to certain things that aren't as fun. If you have a really good boundary within yourself, and you will say no and figure it out with the next one. But sometimes for me, I just like time fillers too. So
Yeah.
unless it's like
I
something that
love
I
that.
absolutely don't want to do, then I will make it like, okay, well, if it's someone who's like, oh, I have a low budget or whatever, you make the stuff and you propose, you're like, well, I'm gonna do a 3K for that one because that wouldn't be their budget. Until then, it's like, okay, fine, and now you have to do it.
Yeah. For me, my only boundary is I won't do the work if it doesn't align with my own personal values.
Yes.
If somebody would ask me to create something that it doesn't align with my personal
Mhm.
values and the values of my brand and my business, I will not do it.
Yes, that's very important to have because I feel like at the end of the day, wherever your art goes represents you. Whether it's at a hospital, whether it's at a bar, wherever it's going, it represents you, and it makes you connected to that person or that brand or whatever it is. So that is true. It is important to have that aligned beliefs and values. So that's a really good point too.
Yeah. Danielle, thank you so much for this conversation. I feel like we could be talking for a while. Where people can find you and follow your beautiful and colorful journey.
Okay. So you can find me online on Instagram at DML Painting or at DML Paintings. Or my website is www.dmlpaintings.com. I am very responsive on any platform. If there's any questions or tips or just want to chat, I am open. Safe space here. Always excited to connect with new artists because doing that got me to this podcast today. So thank you. And yeah, just always down for a chat or some color palette switch or anything.
Keeping each other accountable.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to add all of your information in the show notes. Please follow Danielle and her beautiful journey, her beautiful soul. Thanks for sharing your
Thank you
wisdom
so much for having
with
me.
us. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, it's